It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of June 27, 2003. Two movies in particular, but they're notable films, so let's go ahead and delve right into them. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, the sequel to, of course, the original Charlie's Angels movie, which has not held up well over time, needless to say. So, it's been a couple of years since that movie came out, so one would think that maybe this one will have more of a lasting legacy to it. Maybe it'll hold up better than the original film did. Who knows? The possibilities are in. Nope. Just as dated as the other movie was, but this one might even take it to another level with how crazy this movie gets, because, and not in a good way too, because these movies I'm starting to realize do not hold up well over time at all. So what's the plot of this movie? The plot of this movie, as I'm gonna try to explain it here, is that the Angels are back. Of course, you have Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the Angels. They're back again, but this time they're preparing for a strike without even warning. As they go undercover to retrieve two missing silver bands. These are not ordinary rings, though. They contain valuable encrypted information that reveals the new identities of every people in the Federal Witness Protection Program. When witnesses start turning up dead, only the Angels, using their expertise as a master of disguise, espionage, and martial arts, can stop the perpetrator, who is a mysterious fallen angel, who's played by Demi Moore.
Good evening, Charlie.
Madison, is that you?
Sorry, Charlie. I don't take orders from the speaker box anymore. I work for myself. Well, your boss sucks.
Who certainly does not suck in this movie, because, let's be honest, she's one of the few things that's really great about this movie. But I'll get into that in just a second here. Aided by their trusted colleague, Jimmy Bosley, because they set it up that he and Bill Murray were brothers, and of course Bill Murray said, "You're out of your fucking mind, I'm not coming back for this. I got a Garfield movie to star in next year, bitches." So, yeah, we've got Bernie Mac in here, because Bernie Mac is a hot commodity name at the time, and so the Angels' adventures begin at a remote Mongolian outpost and ends only after Dylan is forced to face a dark secret from her past, a secret that puts the lives of her two best friends in danger. And do you really give a shit at this point? I mean, this is a film that clearly didn't take any notes from the last movie and said, if it worked the first time, surely it's going to work again the second time, and not so much. Yeah, this one underperformed badly. With a $120 million budget, it barely hit $100 million in the U.S. alone. But, yeah, it was not a film that did very well overall. But, like I said, there were a couple things that were actually positive. One is Demi Moore, who I actually really thought was very good, playing Madison in this, the villain in this. She was actually one of the best things about the movie in particular. And Bernie Mac, even though his role is kind of, how he connects to Bill Murray's character in the last movie is really pointless. Like, you could have just said that, you could have just had a thing where it's just like, well, we have all these different Bosleys, so it's not connecting them to one another. Kind of like how there's all these different, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's something out there where, you know, they have all these different people playing similar characters. Like, you could have had it where Bosley was just a name and not just everybody was related to him, but no. This movie's trying to tell you that Bill Murray and Bernie Mac are brothers in this, and it's just like, yeah, you want to say that they're separated at birth type of thing, but it's like there was a better way to explain that. But Bernie Mac, I thought overall was really good in here playing Bosley. But everything else, though, it's what you think it is. It's just TNA. You got these three actresses, Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu, just looking provocative and sexy for just the lack of a storyline here, and yeah, considering how Drew Barrymore has kind of changed her tone over the last couple of years, this movie and the original Charlie's Angels do not hold up well, especially considering that she's the main producer on these movies. So, yeah, that's a mark against her in that case. Just too many storylines going on in here that make no sense whatsoever. Too many characters get introduced here, and like everything about the film just seems really really outdated pretty quickly. And this is a film that's supposed to be a parody of something from the 1970s, and it's just like, it's just supposed to show that Charlie's Angels really was more successful as a product of its time, and instead of just and something that probably should not have been rebooted in any way, shape, or form. Because every time they try to reboot this series, it never turns out well. The more I think about it, like the 2011 TV series they tried to do with who's the actress that she was in Transformers? I can't remember who she is now. Rachel Taylor's who I'm thinking of. Minka Kelly was also in it. So was Ramon Rodriguez, who's now on Will Trent. Good talent on board. Good people writing it, but just didn't work out well as a series. And then you had Elizabeth Banks try a crack at it in the film world, and it just didn't work out there either. It was a film that was just kind of like, the pieces were there, but just not the right storyline or something that could modernize it for a new generation. And yeah, it just didn't work. This is just something that should have just stayed in the 70s and 80s, and then just been considered a time capsule. Because when they try to reboot it into a new generation, it just didn't work in the long run. And this is an example of that. And yeah, not much more to say about this one. That's Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Definitely not as good. Both of these movies are not even that great to begin with. They're just kind of like, I liked them I liked them when I was little because they were movies that were very provocative and had these girls in skimpy clothing. Now I look back on it and it's just kind of like, yeah, this does not hold up well over time whatsoever. And but let's get to a film that does hold up well over time. A film that I think most people will agree with me is easily the best thing to come out this weekend, and that is Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. With one of the most badass trailers you will ever see. I mean, that trailer is just one of those great trailers that even if you're not a horror guy, you watch that and you're just like, I gotta figure out what the hell's going on here. Because I know that's what happened to me when I first saw that trailer. It's just like, what the hell is this? I gotta see this. And you have the story here where you have Cillian Murphy as a bicycle courier who awakens from a coma to discover the accidental release of a highly contagious, aggression-inducing virus that has caused the breakdown of society. And technically, Danny Boyle himself doesn't credit this as a zombie film, but nevertheless, it was important to helping to reinvigorate the zombie genre of horror film as a whole, and essentially instituted a revival in the decade after its release with stuff like, Shaun of the Dead, which is a spoof of zombie movies, and in the same year, we had Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, and George A. Romero was able to continue his zombie series after this. But this just proves the length of how much Danny Boyle has as a filmmaker, that he doesn't stick to one particular genre. He's a guy that can do so many different genres, and he almost always nails it right out of the park. And this is another example of that. This is the film that he needed after The Beach was a misguided opportunity with Leonardo DiCaprio. But this is a film that is really, really damn good, and really is intense and scary when it needs to be. I mean, it's a film that has everything you want in a good horror movie. You've got characters you want to relate to, you want to get to know. You've got a situation where the zombies aren't acting like the zombies you see before, where they're walking slow as hell. No, these zombies are moving fast as hell because they know that when they see something that isn't infected, they got to go after them and kill them and have them be a part of their thing. And it's it's just a movie that still holds up after all these years later. Like, even in the attempts that they've tried to turn this into a franchise, where it hasn't been as successful. 28 Weeks Later was not that great of a movie in general, but they're bringing it back with 28 Years Later, which is essentially going to be a two-part film continuing from this story onward. And it definitely piques my interest to see where they go from there, and see if they can find that magic again. But the movie itself is really damn good. It still holds up after all these years, from a visual perspective, from a horror movie perspective, from an acting perspective. Everything about it still holds up. The atmosphere, the tension building, just this is what pure perfected horror cinema really is. It's a film that's just so intense, so in your face, and it's just like, it's a masterpiece, man. It's one of the great horror movies of all time. I can't recommend it enough. 28 Days Later, if you have not seen it, even if you're not a horror fan, see it. You will not be disappointed by it by any means necessary. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll jump into 4th of July weekend on the next episode with 4 movies, including Arnold Schwarzenegger returning as the Terminator in Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, Reese Witherspoon reprising the role of Elle Woods in the comedy Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde, DreamWorks' high-budgeted animated misfire, which was not because of the movie itself, but just other reasons that we'll get to, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, and we also have a Swimming Pool. So 4 movies we'll take a look at on the next episode, but until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I'm off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.